everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us here on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. You will also see the paperback and Kindle edition of our next guest. We're excited to welcome back author Theresa Merritt-Watson to our broadcast. She's been doing a great series with us, as this is recognized as Personal History Awareness Month during the month of May. Her book is called Black Tech, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. You all can get your copy here on Amazon and send you guys a quick welcome message there. We also are simulcasting for our friends joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. So I appreciate you guys being with us as well. Yes, I am an Amazon reviewer as well. That was asked to me on the Instagram side there. We're going to talk to Ms. Merritt-Watson about two great individuals from her book today, what it's been like for her to have some great conversations about these individuals and what she hopes it does, not only for young people, but also for all of us when it comes to learning about them as well. Ms. Merritt-Watson, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me again. I'm enjoying these sessions.
Well, look, I'm enjoying it too because you've lived with these individuals a lot longer than I have, Ms. Merritt-Watson. And so it's been great for me to be able to get to know them more, not only, of course, because of your book, Black Tech, but one thing I want to mention is I think what Ms. Merritt-Watson has done is kind of really teased us with this book, and it makes you want to go and learn more about these individuals. So, Ms. Merritt-Watson, I want to begin there. What has it been like for you to start a conversation, not only about the Black inventors that are in your book, but also more about their story?
Well, more about their stories is like, for example, we're talking today about Frederick Jones, and Frederick Jones actually has his history is so rich, and he have done so many things. And so when a person take a look at Frederick Jones, you just can't think about the refrigerator truck, which is actually his specialty. But what did he do, and when did he start, and the fact that he had already been looking at refrigeration for a long time. He has over 100 patents. And so when you take a man like Frederick Jones and you look at the refrigerator system, you can't do anything without the contribution that he has made to refrigeration. And so what I want the kids to do is just like, okay, man, look at it more than just the ice cream man that comes around. And another thing is how he saved lives. And during his era, medicine for the African-American population was very different than it is today. And so, if you take some bad medicine, it could kill you. And so he just felt compelled to do something that that was not done, like the refrigerator truck, being able to sustain it longer. And so one of the things I would like for kids to take a look at is that you see something, because we used to have what we call the ice box. Mm-hmm. And so you take a big block of ice and you put it into the refrigerator, and it was designed to keep the food cold until it melts, and you just get another block. Well, that's not real sustainable long term, but nonetheless, he saw something that needed to be improved. And there are many things in the world today that needs to be improved on, and he went and improved on it. And now we can get medicine delivered in a refrigerator container, a box, because of Frederick Jones. And so this notion and this idea of being able to continue to grow and improve on an item, on need. That means that you got to take a look. You got to invoke your critical thinking, which is one of the things I keep going back to that Martin Luther King has in his writing. Don't take that away from a child or an adult. And that's what Frederick Jones, when I think about him, I think about all the things that he went through, which I don't really go into a lot of the problems that he encountered.
Sure.
Doing his delivery. But as people began to read more about him, they could see some of the things that he encountered, but he still, kept marching on to make sure that he get this process completed. And of course, he was successful in it.
Yeah. Ms. Merritt-Watson, I want to stay with that for a moment, if you don't mind, because I think it's such an important point, but it goes to something bigger, I think, and that is, again, this book introduces us to the individuals that help create the things that sometimes we use that we don't even think about. We take for granted it's going to be there, right? But I think to be able to do more of a deep dive, that's a great project for families to be able to do together. It's a great
Mhm.
schools to be able to do together, to have the teacher, have them go and look up things. Talk to us about the conversations you hope happen as people do get to know them more.
Well, I want people, some of the conversation I want to them to be able to expound on. I'm going to stay with Frederick Jones because there's a lot of them in there that I can actually take apply the same thing too. The conversation I want them to do is to look at once again, is to see not just Black people but all people, to see the great things that African American contribute to the development of this country. And just about every single day that you're here on this planet, you encounter something that's created or made by a Black man. And more important, I want them to take away that things that can be expound on. And so in your class, in the elementary class, which this book is written for the elementary level, you can learn about refrigeration. You can learn about engineering things, particularly with batteries, and you can learn about ice and molecules. You can learn about those things at that level, and it can bring you back and encounter some of the experiences that Frederick Jones. You can experience Frederick Jones at a kindergarten level because you are doing that type of work at that age. Refrigeration, battery, molecules, ice, and this is what I'm hoping when they encounter these things, they will think about and touch bases with Frederick Jones.
Yeah. There is an interesting parallel, I thought, to Frederick Jones. I'm going to put him back up, Miss Merritt Watson, but also someone we just covered yesterday, Alexander Miles. It's interesting. They lived during some of the same time period, and both of them were self-taught. Were you surprised by that?
No, because some of the things I think people need to know, and is that a lot of times when people were slaves or working in different environments, they had to learn how to survive. And then another thing, the skills that some of these people had, they obtained those skills through family. Like your father taught you a skill, and that skill, when he passed, you passed the skill on down to someone else. So I don't know Frederick Jones' father, but it appears that because of his knowledge, that the skill will pass down. And so we were in the stage of passing along to our children what we knew. And since we came over here with skills, these things, these students, these inventors did not, self-taught engineers and self-taught mechanical and electrical engineer, does not surprise me at all. And then you have to remember, in their era, African American going to college was not a common thing. It wasn't even allowed in many places. But that doesn't mean, so, that you don't have to, that you need to stop doing what you're doing because you can't, get into a certain place or position. And that brings us back to people not wanting to go to college. That doesn't mean that you can't do what you want to do, you know.
Yeah. Such a great point. I want to say, for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. Here we have the paperback and Kindle edition of our guest book. That is Theresa Merritt-Watson, her book, Black Tech, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You all can get the book here. If you guys are joining us on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn, you will notice the link that we're bringing you guys over to Amazon to get the book. For those who are tuning in on X and on Instagram, we'll be posting it after we end the broadcast here. The second individual we're supposed to be covering today is another great one, Ms. Merritt-Watson, and that is Marion R. Croak. And this is an interesting one, too, the Voice over Internet Protocol, which enables us to make calls over the Internet instead of a phone line. How did you find out about Ms. Croak?
Actually, I found out about her doing actually just before COVID. And I knew about her, but I had not really paid attention to what she was doing in such great detail. And she was a great contributor to Zoom. And so I would love for people, because It's voice over the internet protocol, and that's all Zoom is. And so she has had this is I guess, Cyrus, one of the things that I just really excite me is the fact that the things that we're talking about just not does not just impact us. In the United States, it's just all over the world. Our people are continuing to do such profound things that you could see that no matter where you go in the world, we are there. Our presence, our footprint is there.
Right.
And so when you look at her, she has over 200 patents. And so she's not just doing voice over IP, but she's doing other things as it relates to communication. Now, as it relates to the students, I would love for the students to do a deep dive into, you could have a classroom of fourth graders that has to do a project, and you say, okay, I want Marion Crook, and I don't want anyone to have the same project. That is highly possible, just to expound on the things that she have done. And so this is not just about learning that one element. It's
right.
Most of these people have several patents.
Right. I thought it was interesting when I was prepping for this segment that she was in the Inventors Hall of Fame. Ms. Merritt-Watson, I didn't even know there was an Inventors Hall of Fame. And I was reading on her too, and this is, I think, what people will also find interesting, that in an interview she gave, she talked about she was 5 or 6 when she became interested in technology, and now she is almost 70. And as you were talking about being able to make the impact she's made. So on these two individuals we've talked about today, that is Marion R. Croak, as well as Frederick Jones, talk to us about what you hope our audience of all ages, Ms. Merritt-Watson, thinks about when it comes to these two individuals and their contribution to the world.
Well, their contribution, what I would say to you is that when you're looking at it, I'm asking your listeners to start having their kids look at these things and think about the person that invented it. Normally, you don't get on the elevator and think, Frederick Miles, or you don't look at your refrigerator and think Frederick Jones. The previous one, sorry, Alexander Miles. You don't look at your refrigerator or refrigeration and think Frederick Jones. But I'm asking you just to plant the seed in our children's head how great we are. And then that's what I'm asking our listeners to do. Start planting the seed with people. Start acknowledging the things that we have done. And so that other people, they too will learn that the value that we have placed in this country has been astronomical. And without it, you will be in a different place in the world.
Yeah. Such a great point and such a great conversation with you, Ms. Merritt-Watson. Again, everyone, Theresa Merritt-Watson has been our guest as we continue our series doing Personal History Awareness Month of her book, Black Tech. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow is the book available right here on Amazon. Definitely invite you guys to be able to get your own copy. It is great for young people, but also for us adults as well. It's a great springboard for people like myself who may have heard some of the individuals. And when I say some, Ms. Merritt-Watson, out of the 14, I think I knew 3. So for you all out there, that's a great opportunity for you also to be able to learn more about these inventors as well, and to be able to come back and join us next week as we continue and going through the book and discussing more inventors and their contribution to the world as well. Ms. Merritt-Watson, thank you again for taking out the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate being on here.
It's our pleasure. Well, you're welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.